Welcome to the Orthodox Logos. My name is Ian Silver, and today we have a special guest, somebody I've been excited to talk to, and I'm officially meeting for the first time face to face. His name is Christian Grimm, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool, perfect. And he runs the page 13th Vigil. It's a apparel gear. I don't really know exactly what to call it. Orthodox gear. He's a father, a barber, a motorcyclist, and Orthodox Christian as well. So today we'll kind of just get into his journey into the ancient faith and chat with him a little bit about, his background and what inspired him to start 13th Vigil and kind of go from there. So how you doing, man? Thank you for being on here.
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, totally. And before we started, I mentioned that, we probably have a lot in common. We're both motorcyclists and heavily tattooed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we both love metal music.
Yeah.
And there's probably, I don't know, for me personally, it was a little intimidating coming into the faith, into the church in general, Why don't you share what it was like for you and a little bit about you, where you're from and how this all started, if you grew up in the church or anything like that.
I'm like an 11th generation Texan. So we've been here forever.
Wow. What part of Texas are you in, if you don't mind sharing?
We're out in Wiley right now.
Okay.
Kind of northeast of Dallas. I was born in Fort Worth. We kind of moved over everywhere. I was raised Protestant.
Okay.
And I just got tired. I just got tired of the church. I got tired of the Jesus concerts. I'm like, what is this?
You didn't like the rock bands, the disco lights?
No, there's always something eating inside of me, like I was missing something. You know what I mean? Like I always felt like I could be doing more. And, you hear the whole thing where you're like, oh, that's performance, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, now that I'm Orthodox, I know that those, the good works that are prepared for us, man, that's what I was needing to know. And that's what my heart was wanting to do.
The traditions.
And, right.
Yeah.
And I left the Protestant church completely for a couple of years. And, Lord have mercy. Hold on. And sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's always that way whenever you're doing something. People want to blow up your phone.
It's true. Everybody sits down for a haircut. It's like their phones automatic. Go off. It's pretty funny. But I left church completely. Just got tired of it. Got tired of the hypocrisy and the plastic Christians and stuff like that. And not everybody is like that. Not every Protestant is like that.
There's definitely some very pious Protestant Christians that would probably be more devout than some Orthodox, but we're all doing the best we can.
I know some men that are 100% Christian. Like there's no question about it. But for me, I've always been kind of on the outskirts of the world. I never really liked things that were popular. I've always been drawn to metal and motorcycles. My dad was a biker. It's just kind of on the edges of society.
On the fringe.
Yeah. It was only a matter of time before I fell off into Orthodoxy, because death to the world.
That's true.
Just grabbed me and pulled me in. But I remember I was at home, and it was during the pandemic, and I was watching black metal documentaries on YouTube. And a picture of a Schema monk came across, and I was like, whoa, wizard. And then I looked, and it was like, I recognized the symbols on there, and I was like, those are Christian symbols. And then I started researching it. I found the Orthodox Church. I found Eastern Orthodoxy, and I never looked back.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's similar story. Also, I was born in Texas, Austin, Texas.
Nice.
So there's another thing we have in common. We're both Texans. And yeah, I feel you on the things just kind of felt empty after a while,
Yeah.
And I moved in and out of different denominations, and then moved to Sedona and got kind of wrapped up in the woo-woo, like occult, new age, tarot card, crystal stuff. And to me, I always felt out of place there too, because it was just too much love and light, and it was another form of something that felt false to me,
Yeah.
Because those, that type of thing, it's where people believe. I always have this saying that if your God allows you to do whatever you want, that God is you.
Uh-huh.
So people kind of live their life like that. But yes, so you have been Orthodox for a year, I think. I think I saw you just had your anniversary, 2 years.
2 years, I think.
2 years,
A year?
beautiful. Yeah, November,
I
I
can't
think
remember.
November was the anniversary, right? For your
Yeah.
baptism. Yep,
Yeah.
beautiful. And what parish
No,
do you at?
December 19th
December
is when I was
19th.
baptized. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Cool.
I can't remember. Will you grab my tea, buddy? You grab my tea. Yes. Thanks, man.
And then so you found it, you kind of, like you said, you saw an image of a schema monk, and
Uh-huh.
that kind of triggered it for you because
Mm.
it had that look to it. You started doing
Yeah.
some research. And do you remember what it was like entering? What type of parish did you attend? And do you remember what it felt like to you? Did you feel out of place, or did you feel at home right
Oh man.
away?
The priest he was amazing. He made me feel right at home. He answered all my texts. I had all these crazy questions, and he answered every single one. And knowing now, how busy some priests are, and attending to a whole flock of people, I'll always be grateful.
Oh
Always be
yeah.
grateful for that. I remember when I first stepped into the church, my son and I shared the same experience when we stepped into the Orthodox church. It's something. It was just weighty. It was like there was a holiness there that I had never experienced before, and it was kind of world shattering for me. But then we got to liturgy, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know there were books. I didn't know there were books you could read along to, and it was majority of them were
And everybody's
Russian.
crossing themselves a million times.
Right. Right. I had no idea what was going on. I just knew I wanted to do this. So I'm standing in the back. I'm sweating. I don't know what I'm doing. So I pick out like the most humblest, meekest looking woman there. And because she crosses herself and bows more than anybody else. And I'm like, okay, surely she's doing this right. So I just watched her until I got it down, figured it out.
That's the same thing I did. It was weird. Was that during your first liturgy that you started kind of just going with it?
I tried to.
Same.
It was
It was definitely
so
different,
bad.
right?
Yeah, it was definitely different. I went up, tried to take communion. I mean, the whole 9 yards. The whole 9 yards. I was up there, and
Yeah, we're not
he kind of
Catholics.
looked at me. He's like, "No, you just kiss the cup." I'm like, "Okay,
Okay, yes,
whatever
sir.
you want me, whatever you want me to do." I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's funny because the priest is he listens, to metal, and he was born in Texas too, so we, kind of made friends that way, and it was, you could see that twinkle in his eye that
Nice.
he would have cracked up. He wasn't serving Eucharist. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think the first time I went to a liturgy, I rode my Harley, and I pulled up
Nice.
into the parking lot solo. I think it was March or somewhere around there. Nice weather, short sleeve shirt, tattoos, and I'm definitely still, besides me and my fiance, we're the only ones that I know of. I mean, there are people who have a few tattoos, but it's a Greek church, so um, Greeks are a little bit more, not more traditional, but like the old heads, the older Greek people,
Yeah.
no tattoos, none of that.
Yeah.
And
Not at all.
nope. I remember I got there 30 minutes early. It was just me and the priest, who's now my spiritual father, and the greeter. Her name's Tula, and it was weird. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should shake his hand, kiss his hand, and I go up for a handshake and a hug, and it's just kind of weird. But he talked to me for 30 minutes and got my background, and I think actually I went for Vespers first, and
That's cool.
And Vespers is still, to me, it's definitely more unique than, I guess they're different in a way, but Vespers to me was a shock too.
Right.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into at all. But then I just started watching YouTube videos, reading the books, and man, changed my whole life. I didn't think I could ever. It's like for me, I feel like it's every little bit of truth that you were looking for, and all the other things, all encompassed into one thing.
Right. Right.
And
It was like Christianity in HD all of a sudden.
yeah, I know. And there's a kid at our church. It's my fiance's godmother's son. He's young, but they visited one of their family members, like a mega church. And he said to her, she said, "Oh, well, how's your church?" And he said, "Well, it's boring, but it's holy." And, he's like 8 years old, and that's perfect though. I mean, because sometimes it's boring. I can understand that, how kids could definitely think it's boring, but he said, but at least it's holy. And she said,
Right.
"Oh, wow, okay." So we don't have a rock band. We've been singing the same hymns for thousands of years, so it's boring, but it's holy. So yeah, kids always have a funny way of putting things.
Oh man, yeah,
So
it's true.
so
It's true. That was
let's
one of the things I liked about the church, was that everybody's in there. The babies,
yeah
the kids, like everybody.
yeah
And I didn't know what to make of it at first, because I mean we'd always separate in the Protestant churches. Kids would go here and then over here,
because it's a
everybody would separate.
distraction to them.
Right. But then after I got used to it, it was weird not seeing kids in church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. That's cool. I love it.
Especially what I've realized is that when kids are acting up in service, what they're doing is they're just acting out how we are in our head. Like we can control what's going on in our head and not act out, and they don't. They're just, because I guarantee if I acted out the way my brain was spinning in service, I'd be doing the same thing as them, screaming and going crazy. You know what I mean? They just don't have it.
I gotta read along, dude, or I'll get like
distracted.
I'll be way off focus if I don't do it. The funny thing is that if we show up to liturgy late, it's funny to try to watch me like figure out what page we're on,
where you're at.
Like, what are we doing? Are we doing which liturgy are we doing? Yeah, it's pretty. So
funny. Are you in Russian?
No, we're in OCA. There's happen to be a lot of Russian people at that parish. I'm at the main parish now, St. Seraphim down in Dallas.
Wow, beautiful.
And it's mixed. But we've only been twice so far, so I don't know a whole lot of people.
Cool.
I only know a couple.
And then I've seen that you visited a few skeets, or maybe just a couple, right?
Yeah, I went to Idaho to visit a friend of mine up there, and I forget the name of the monastery, but we went to a monastery and a skeet up there, and man, it was awesome. It was really cool.
Did you do some reading?
Did I do reading?
Yeah, like chanting or reading?
Oh, no. I just helped serve in the liturgy.
Cool.
Yeah, we went to, he's Antiochian, he's a father deacon in the Antiochian church, and we went in there, and he's like, "You want to serve?" I'm like, "Sure." And I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, that's.
But even though I didn't know what I was doing, and being in there and being a part of the Great Procession and seeing what happens behind the scenes, it's crazy spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. You know what I mean? And that kind of overshadowed any kind of awkwardness I have. That's my life in Orthodoxy. Like any kind of awkwardness I had in the beginning, all the spiritual stuff has just overshadowed it.
Yeah, you're finally home.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The thing that sealed me on it was like the lives of the elders and the saints, and I started reading about it. I mean, you're reading like all the rich young rulers that actually did sell their stuff and follow Christ, like they're all in the church.
Yeah.
I was like, you read about Elder Ephraim and Father Seraphim Rose and like all the all the ones that everybody usually runs into first, and you see people that live for Christ. You see people that have forsaken everything for Christ. And I was like, if these type of people, if these type of men and women, like Mother Gavrila and stuff like that, if these type of men and women are this church's, elders and leaders,
there's something about it.
Then I'm it. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm here.
It's funny that you mentioned Father Seraphim Rose and Elder Ephraim, because they're obviously two of my favorite saints, and we live close to the monastery. We just went to Elder Ephraim's memorial, and today is actually his 2 year. This is the second year after his repose. But there's also a lot of controversy, around them because of some of because they were so devout and so serious, and it seems like that kind of thing, can in a way deter people, or I guess what it is whenever you are that close to God, you're gonna have demonic and spiritual attacks on you, because that's just what happens. So what was the first book that you read? Do you remember?
It was the Human Heart book by Father Rose. I can't remember the whole
Revelation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, those little dude, it's deep.
Yeah.
For what's like 60 pages, and it's just like, okay.
They got it. Yeah. They got in from Amazon, and I pulled it out, and I was like, for real? Like, this is it?
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's amazing. And then I just started, like, I just went nuts.
That was the first book I read was, I didn't even finish it because I started it before I was even a catechumen, was The Soul After Death by Father Seraphim Rose.
Nice.
I'll tell you that one just was still a little too much for me. The toll houses, and it's just, but it sealed things for me. I was like, this is deeper than anything. It talks about out of body experiences and near death experiences and dreaming and all the stuff that I've had questions to for such a long time. And just the way he talks about things it's like you're talking to a friend, And he was under 100%. Alan Watts. I'm sure you know that, right? Well, or he studied, which is such a trip to me, and he was just searching for more and realized that you couldn't really find it in the West.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, who is your patron saint? Who's your saint? What was your baptismal name?
Christian.
Christian. Sweet.
So I got to,
So that is your name, and you got to keep it.
Yeah.
Sweet. And which saint is that after? Or is it just a
Christ.
Biblical? Oh, well, there you go. Christian literally means little Christ.
And I've okayed it with so many priests and the bishop and stuff like that. But I've gotten mixed reviews back. Like, people are like, you can't do that. I'm like,
well,
what?
I got a blessing. So.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know the rules. Wow. There are saints that I was drawn to immediately. Saint Marina, Saint Onufrius,
wow,
Saint Joseph, and Saint Moses.
Saint Marina, those four. Marina's the one. I think you have a shirt with her, right?
Right.
And she's like beating the devil with the cross.
With the cross, and then there's another one with her and a hammer.
That's about as metal. That's about as metal as you can get.
Like, I didn't know who she was at first, and I was like, "That's the most metal." Right? I was like, "That's the most metal thing I've ever seen in my life." And then I read about her, and I read the stories and stuff like that, and then which prompted me to read more about the female saints, the female martyrs, and the mothers in the church and stuff like that, and which ultimately led me to, reading and studying about Theotokos. And all these women are just tough as nails.
I know, and it's weird because a lot of people, when you tell them you're a Christian, obviously sometimes, I mean, leading with I'm an Orthodox Christian, people are like, well, what's that? So sometimes you just tell people I'm a Christian, and a lot of their perceptions are like, oh, you guys are, you hate women and all these things, and they don't realize, that we magnify women, and women have just as an important role, if not a more important role in the church, than we do. They're like, oh, well, you don't have any women priests. Well, that's, this goes back to biblical traditions, Mosaic, Abrahamic law and all that. So
we have diaconesses, however you say it.
Deaconesses. Yeah. Once again, everybody, we're not clergy. We're just simple laymen. So anything we say, talk to your spiritual father.
100%.
But yeah, the women martyrs, their stories are so intense. Sierra, my fiance, she took Anastasia of Serbia, and the story with her, with her breast being cut off and being burned, and just like It
It's nuts,
just,
dude.
dude, it's intense and it's weird. We're facing, in the world we're living in now, we're facing a different type of persecution. It's not so much physical, but I even just feel walking down the street, people see me with my cross, and you get those eyes, and you're being persecuted in a different way.
Right.
But something that the church teaches that is that we do not fear persecution. We've been persecuted for thousands of years, and it usually makes the church stronger. If you think about the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, how long that went on for, and them having to do underground churches and serve communion in secret, and grandmothers teaching their grandbabies how to be Orthodox Christians, in a basement, and it's like a revival, and I feel like I see that going on. It's beautiful, and glory to God. I see a lot of people leaving the Protestant movement, the New Age movement, and at one point I knew I was kind of part of that movement, and I was like, is this just like another train? I felt like I was unsure. I was like, am I just hopping on another train? Like, how long am I going to be doing this? And then, like you said, there's just certain things that once you experience it in the parish, that's it. If you go back, what are you going back to?
Right. Like you trace the whole church back to, Christ.
Yep.
So it's like, there's nothing to go back. And I started reading up on the heresies and reading Irenaeus and reading all this stuff. And once I started finding out and visualizing like everything that's tried to come into the church and tried to attack the church, on down to right now, it's nuts. But it's
closing down the church, but keeping strip clubs open.
Yeah, that was weird.
a little bit. I don't know.
But it's weird to me. Like the things that are going on today are weird to me. It's like people are purposefully blinding themselves to the blatantly obvious truths that are happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm either going to be martyred or I'm going to facepalm myself to death. Like that's what's going to happen. Because I can't stand it. I'm like, what? How do you think like that? I don't know, but like it's happened time and time again in different cultures, and the elite rules funnels down to the people what they want them to hear and believe. And
exactly, even within the church,
happening,
even within churches,
Yeah.
And that's just something that. But what it is, it's people, and not us. I'm not saying us specifically. People like us, the lay people who really are the glue. When things start going wrong, and we're the ones who are supposed to speak up, and it's not always easy. But yeah, I agree with you.
There's a lot of ecumenism. I don't know how to say it. There's a lot of that happening. It's a really weird time to become Orthodox.
Yeah, it's a great time.
You know what I mean?
But it's a weird time.
A great time. But because like you're like, oh, I'm gonna listen to this person. Oh crap, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But I listened to I forget his name. He's in Greece, and he's like, listen to the saints.
Father Peter Hears?
No. He's Neophytos Morpho.
Okay, yeah.
He's like, listen to the saints.
Yeah, there you go.
He's like, the bishops can lead you astray, priests can lead you astray. He didn't say they would. He just said that's a possibility. And he's like, who won't lead you astray? The saints. And what they've said and how they have put it. And like I've read so many things about the modern age and the modern medical age and things like that from holy fathers who have passed.
10, 15
ones that
years
have become
ago,
saints.
prophecies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to that.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna listen to anything else.
Yeah. I met Father Peter Hears this last weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw him. He was at the memorial. I saw him from afar, and I wasn't completely sure if it was him. And I went up and talked to him, and that's the same thing he said. We had a brief conversation about the zine and some other little things, and he said, just listen to the saints. He said, he asked me, like, what am I reading? And just keep listening to the saints, even the modern saints. He said the contemporary saints, you can go back 1,000 years, and that's great. That's edifying, but the modern saints, Father Seraphim Rose, and because they they know exactly, they saw what was going to happen, you know, as it was unfolding.
Right. St. Passios is a big one for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that he said is I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of happening. So I was gonna ask you about 13th Vigil. I gotta say, honestly, by far my favorite stuff I've ever seen. And
thanks, man.
you know, no lie, you and Death to the World have been a big inspiration, because I didn't know anything like that existed. You know, I had no idea that anything like that existed. So tell me about that. Is that a culmination of, you know, your background and some inspiration, or are you a designer by nature?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I like doing art. I do oil painting all the way to working on Procreate on the iPad, like everything in between. But when I found, I was watching interview with the guy from Crimson Moonlight.
Okay.
That black metal band, I think from Sweden. And he's Orthodox. And he had this shirt on, it said "Death to the World." And I was like that was it. As soon as I looked it up, like that was it. I was like, all of the saints and everything I've learned thus far, and this stuff, I'm like, this is where I need to be. But and I saw it, and I ordered the magazines, I bought the downloads, I got t-shirts, and just read over the whole website. And
yeah, shout out to Death to the World.
Oh yeah, 100% old school.
And they're coming back too, coming back hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. And it's awesome in that. And before I started mine, I had talked to him and explained, or kind of just made sure within myself, like, this is the direction I want to go, you know, but I don't want you to feel like I'm stepping on toes, or I don't want you to feel like I'm doing, I don't want you to feel like I'm a competition.
Yeah.
And I probably got on his nerves because I asked him like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just trying to get, trying to make sure that it was okay with him, because if it wasn't, I was never going to do it.
Father John?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I was like, I went from there and we talked, but I wanted the direction.
He's so chill too.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
It's like, it's not affecting him. If we're going to use our skills and our talents to glorify God, people came at me, and I know we've talked about this, and you've been there whenever I've been going through, some little things here and there, and I appreciate that. People will come at you, and if they don't necessarily know, your intention, we're not Joel Osteens here. We're not, no. I don't have $600,000 hidden in my bathroom wall. I'm not in this to make money. I want to use my skills for something good, and, potentially be able to, I have a very small parish. I mean, tiny parish, 50 people, maybe less sometimes. So, whatever I can do to help with that. And so that was kind of my motivation. I was like, I was doing all this stuff, design work and photos, and I just felt burnt out. I felt like I didn't have a purpose for it. I was taking photos of things that, weren't very godly, to say the least. So I felt called to use my skills for something else. And you and Death to the World really, really inspired me. And I was like, oh man, this is fun. And it's nice to be able to create, and it inspires you to read more. You find a story, and then you start creating, and it just kind of keeps going.
That's true.
But yeah, if nobody's checked out your stuff, I'll link it as well. 13th Vigil. It's amazing, man. I really love it. I need to stop being stingy and just buy some gear.
Thanks, dude. Yeah. I appreciate it. It's pretty metal focused. I mean,
what's the reaction been? Does anybody what does people at your parish, or people that in the church, what do people usually think?
My priest loved it.
Sweet.
My priest loved it. There's a couple designs that people are like, nope. I'm like, all right, cool. But everything, even like the black metal aesthetic stuff, is everybody's liked it. I try to do stuff that's I don't know, pretty forward.
Yeah.
But the whole goal for me was to make people wonder what it is and ask about it. You know,
Yeah.
like
Like when you're walking down the street, what's that say? Who's that?
Right. So if you're over in Europe or Greece, like everybody knows.
Yeah.
But here in Texas and Murder City or Funky Town or whatever,
if it's not a Trump, it's not a Trump shirt.
Pretty much.
They're not gonna know what it is.
Pretty much. And like I want people to be like, what is that? You know, and who is that? You know, if there's
it's almost a way of evangelizing, like you know.
Right.
You know, without standing on the street corner. It's just that's another reason I like it, and I want people to check it out because it's everyday wear that, you know, you'll get questions for sure. I have the Silouan shirt that I made, and I've had people ask me, who's that? What's that mean? And then you get into a conversation, and next thing you know, I've had people email me that I've met on the street and ask me what they should read or what parish they should go to, and it's a great conversation starter.
Because I mean, everybody should know. Everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to know the truth, because in Protestantism, like I've never studied church history. I never studied about Mary.
Yeah, they don't talk about it. It's the Bible and that's it.
And it's yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you talk to somebody like who is legit, you know, then it's all sola scriptura and all the crazy tulip people.
Yeah, and that's not to say we don't take the Bible very serious, or that's not, you know, that's a huge part of our life. There's every day we have a daily reading, but you know, we also focus on the people who lived it.
Right. And there's so much of church history that's not in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea the monastery of Sinai was there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I had no idea that there was a bush that was living off the root system of the burning bush there.
Yeah. There's actually one here at St. Anthony's.
Like I didn't know that there were pieces of the cross.
Yeah, do you have one at your parish?
We
have like the tiniest little piece.
We might. I'd have to double check before I say no. I have to double check. But like I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't know what relics were, you know, and when I started finding these things, and I started realizing, you know, that these things were still around, it just dawned on me. Like, of course, the church is going to take care of this stuff. It's important, you know. And for
even
reason,
when things are lost, they somehow get them back.
Right, and for whatever reason, like they just don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like,
I agree.
Why not? Like that changed my life. You know what I mean? Because you're able to, it just, like I said, it's Christianity in high def, and every little hole that I ever had in my faith was all filled.
And once you think you know it all, or you know enough, there you go. Pick up another book, go to another different service, go to a different parish, different monastery, you know. So it's very edifying.
True. I'm still trying to get through the Orthodox Survival Guide. Like, and every time I open that book, I'm like, I don't know anything. Like, not. But it doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't matter the father that you read. Like you can read a genius, like you know, Father Rose, or you can read somebody like Saint Joseph the Hesychast who never went to school, and it's that spiritual weightiness and all of that good guidance and stuff like that is all there, and it's all the same. And I sit there and I'm still like, oh no, crap.
Yeah, grace has no age or you know, it's just it comes to people. That's you know, that's
Glory to God.
That's up for God to decide. Well, I had a personal question. What do you ride?
I had a Road King.
Nice.
But I didn't like it.
Lazy boy on wheels.
You would think that, but I prospected on a dyno, and that thing was stage 2, and it was been thrown on the dyno jet, and it had pipes, you know, the whole 9 yards. And but I was getting a little too old for a dyno, you know, so I opted for the touring bike, and I tried to ride it, and I didn't like it.
Nice.
I didn't like it. Now I want to get into any kind of softail, like an older softail would be cool. Because I like I like just plain old classic bikes.
Yeah.
You know, like I want something old school. You know what I mean? And all
Yeah,
my brothers
I got a 97 Sportster, so it's a girl's bike technically, people say. But I mean, you want to see me try to lift a Road King? It's not going to be pretty.
It's a lot easier you think. A lot easier you think. All my brothers ride big touring bikes, and they're all just beautiful machines, every single one of them. The paint and all that stuff, but I think that I got used to like not having a windshield, having a light bike and stuff like that, and then I kind of just stick with it.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to ask you, I'm sure a lot of people aren't as interested as me, but if we get cut off, I did have a few more questions. So if we get cut off because I didn't know Zoom only worked like that, I wanted to ask you about the motorcycle club that you're part of. How did you find that? Was that prior to Orthodoxy? And
yeah, that was prior to Orthodoxy.
How did that happen? And share what you can. I know you guys are a brotherhood, and I know you're not doing anything weird, but share what you can.
I met the president, and it hit me like.
Are you allowed to say the name?
Huh?
Are you allowed to say the name?
Yes, Christian is in the sea.
Cool.
When I met the president, the same thing hit me like did whenever I started reading about the early fathers and stuff like that.
And this was after you left Hell's Angels, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And I was like, this dude, you just tell that he loves Christ,
Beautiful.
And then you find out his background, and that kind of magnifies the fruits of the Spirit that he carries with him everywhere he goes. And I was like, this is awesome. And I was looking for a brotherhood because I knew I was missing something, and I knew I wasn't finding that in a church, and because I wanted something real, I wanted something for men, and I wanted other people to ride bikes with.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that I would find it in an outlaw MC. You know what I mean? Like I if you would have asked me, like I probably wouldn't have even guessed that I'd be wearing a Diamond 13, but now that I know what it means and what it means to our brotherhood and things like that, it's being an outlaw is something that
death to the world.
That will always be a part of me, always. And like I know these men will lay down their life for me, and in a heartbeat, a split second. But the hard thing is when you have to live for your brother, and monastics know this, is when your brother has to rebuke you, or when your brother has to,
call you out on your call you out on your heresies.
Right. Like, we don't do that a lot, but if something is obvious, we're like, it's probably not a good idea. You know what I mean? But iron sharpening iron, it never feels good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you love your brother enough and you think less of yourself than you do of him, then it's easy, to do that. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but it's easy. So I found out what it means to not just die for your brother, but to live for your brother too. And I think that's something that definitely Western Christianity is missing. But I think a lot of dudes in general just don't know. They don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should.
Yeah, I agree. I grew up in a rough area too, and I've shared that with people before, and I've had some situations where it was pretty rough. We don't really have to go into that stuff, but yeah, I think that's awesome. Are any of them Orthodox? Have any of them come to liturgy or come to any services?
No. We did have a hang around who I can't remember if he was just a hang around, if he was an official hang around or not, but he became Orthodox.
Cool.
And he started going to my parish, became catechumen, the whole nine. And it was funny, I had gone to a Protestant Bible study, and he's like, man, I agree with the stuff you said. It makes sense. I'm going to start looking into it. And he said that his family's from the Ukraine. I was like,
So
well, you're probably not going to
big
have to look very
Orthodox.
far to find it. Yeah. And so he came to the church, and he loves it. He loves it. But the rest of my brothers are they're no Orthodox.
But like we said earlier, I'm sure they're, as Christian as the next man.
They are definitely rough around the edges. There is an Orthodox MC somewhere up north. I've talked to the guy a couple times, and solid dude. But I can't remember the name of the MC to save my life. But
is that where you got the 13 for the 13th vigil for?
Yeah, that's
cool.
part of it.
Yeah.
And then my mom was born on the 13th.
Cool. So there's some, it holds some value. It means something to you.
Yeah, the 13th vigil, I named it after I read about Saint Joseph the Hesychast, and he had a super strict ascetic life, and I would read about these deep night vigils.
Yeah.
So the 13th hour and stuff like that. He would be praying, and how he would, he physically lunging at demons and
not sleeping in a bed.
Right, like his whole life. And I'm like, that's where the battles go down.
Yeah.
That's where you battle your passions. That's where you die to yourself. That's where you remember how mortal you are, and you can remember death is in those deep night vigils. And so I named it that.
That was another thing that drew me to Orthodoxy was our, death is not taboo.
Right.
I think, I can't remember what saint says it, but the job of a Christian is to be preparing for death.
Yep.
And I can't remember exactly who said that. I know you've posted it or used it somewhere as well. And it's
I can't remember it.
Yeah.
As soon as the meeting's over, I'll remember though.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's beautiful because Sierra, my fiance, she lost her brother, best friend, and grandfather all in 1 year. So she was struggling with trying to find any meaning to anything. And I went to service a couple of weeks, maybe a month prior to her joining. And I just told her, I said, hey, look, I'm going to be with you regardless, but this is it.
Right.
These questions you have answers to, if it's not an answer right now, I can assure you that it'll ease your pain. And I know that's the same thing with like a lot of Protestants. They cling to the cross because they're tired and lost, but we have such a rich history and tradition behind all that, metaphysically and spiritually, that we can get a little deeper with things.
It's true. The depths of Orthodoxy are pretty incredible.
Well, let's see. I think we're probably going to get cut off by Zoom. I don't know how it let us. It's been 47 minutes.
Nice.
So it let us go. It still says recording, but yeah, I don't know if there's anything that you want to let people know, or if there's anything you had on your mind. Not to put you on the spot, but.
Ooh,
and I did.
Nothing really.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell people that once again, just go check out the website, get some gear, share it with your friends, and your Instagram is, I'll put that in the link as well. Cool. I love the stuff you post on there. It's super metal, very edifying, very Orthodox.
My thing is just to let people know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we're supposed to be salt and light.
Right. Right. Let people know about your actions and don't be a clanging cymbal. It's annoying.
Yeah. I like it. Well, I just wanted to say thank you again, man, for every time I've reached out to you. You've always been very humble, and you've answered my questions, and you've supported me on some stuff when I was going through it. So it meant a lot, because there's a lot of moments, especially when you're just entering the church. Every path in life has those people that want to bring you down, and one thing we just have to remember is that we're reflections of each other, and I've had to learn to ask for forgiveness from them, even though I feel, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, forgive me, a sinner. When somebody does something to you, it's usually, reflection of something you've done or you will do. So, you know,
it's true.
Yeah, man,
Always look at everybody as better than yourself. That's true.
So, well, I wanted to thank you again, man.
For sure.
It means a lot. We'll have to do this again once the channel picks up a little bit. We can do like a part 2 and catch up again. But yeah, thanks, Christian. I appreciate your time, and
yeah, man.
We'll talk soon.
All right, cool. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.